G'day everybody. At my last clinic, and a lot of clinics, but the last one in particular, there was a varied range of horses, and some were quite troubled horses, some were abused horses, and some were sort of ex-race horses that were really troubled, and but also the trained obedient horses, and something I come across a lot at clinics is horses that they start to sort of live in this around people. They start to become in this state of learned helplessness. It's a shutdown state. Now, this is Marvel. Now, some people sort of wonder, they question and ask me the question, what's a horse, look like when it's just relaxed opposed to sort of being shut down? Now, if you have a look at Marvel, you can see, the dog's over there, kind of walked past, but you can hear there's some birds over there, the ear flicks back over there, and he's in a relaxed, aware state, so you can see he's flicking his ears around, he's soft and he's open, so he's a normal horse. He's kind of seems happy here, he doesn't want to move his feet, his mind's not on a destination, so I'm pretty happy. If I was to sort of, put my hand out here, he's getting a bit sleepy there, not connecting with me, but but you can see that everything's happening. We just saw the dog over there. I'm walking over here. He's coming over here. He's got a few wrinkles just there on the nose there, where he just had a little bit of a hard thought when he was just there. I'm not sure what that was about. Maybe when I approached him there. But anyway, you can see he's open to the world, and if something happened, he's in the right state to sort of cope and deal with it. So a shutdown horse, when they come into an arena, you see them, some of them get deep, very deep, hard, square eyes, and their ears tend to stay in one position, and they just kind of zone out there. And some of these horses have a certain seeming high level of obedience, but really, at the end of the day, what happens when something really goes wrong, because they're carrying a lot of tension inside them, then they can become quite explosive. Years ago, I used to say to people as a bit of a joke, I'd rather take 100 unhandled 5-year-old Arabs out of the hills that never seen a person and train them than, say, for instance, 100 unhandled cold bloods. And the reason, not that I'm against cold bloods or for hot bloods, but what I noticed with the highly aware horses, I knew what was coming from a kilometre away. I knew they saw a piece of grass that was out of place and they were like, oh geez. Whereas some of the other horses have got a bit sleepy, that when a kangaroo jumped or something, they're the ones that went boom, whoa geez, you're there, and oh crikey, there's someone on top of me. So it's really important that when we train our horses, we don't train them into a submissive shutdown state, and it's everything we do with our horses is going to determine if they're going to be open to the environment and interaction with us, or they're just going to start to close off. So how we train our horses is very important. So we're constantly working on the horse, actively searching and thinking in the training environment. So we want our horse to think. So true transition. So people talk a lot about transitions in training horses. Well, true transition is when the horse actually changes its thoughts from one thing to the other. So say for instance, if the horse was standing here and I want it to go out there, then it's got to actively look and think out there to go out there. And oftentimes horses shut down because we can be carrying them with our energy all the time, whether it be energy in the groundwork, energy from our legs, chasing them up from behind. And what happens, we sort of carry our horses so much so that their mind's so fixated on the pressure that they actually start to zone out and not think about things. But there's lots of other reasons too, but I'm just going to go and have a look at another horse here she's very expressive. And there's a couple of ends of the spectrum that we've got to work with our horses so we don't shut them down. One end of the spectrum is what I say to everybody that's got a shut down horse. One end of the spectrum is you've got to go back to day one, which is, imagine that horse was a wild horse in the paddock. Now, if you were approaching a wild horse, there's no way you could get within 100 metres of it, or even more, without it starting to go, oh, hang on, here comes a person. So you really have to read their body language. So Marvel's starting to have a bit of a snooze now. Now you can tell when he starts to sort of, fade out a little, because he just has a bit of a snooze. But the horses I'm talking about, they're faded out, but their eyes are still open, and they're not truly kind of just resting relaxed. But anyway, but if you go and approach a wild horse, you have to walk in with that wild horse, and there's no way you can walk in with it and get near it without reading every little sign that that horse offers you. Otherwise, it's going to tell you pretty quickly, and when you get them in the yards, you know, they're going to be running around and they'll see you, and that's when you stop and stand back. And you've heard of the old sort of saying, approach and retreat. Basically, all approach and retreat is I'm making my way towards the horse or in the vicinity of the horse. When I see that horse have its thought change, positive or negative, I'm going to just maybe stop or retreat a little. So basically, any acknowledgement from the horse, positive or negative, you read it. And so that's one end of the spectrum to work from when you're working a shutdown horse, because a lot of people just forget about how they feel, and the horse has got all these feelings and emotions. We just smash in there, we put a holder on them, we go and chuck the saddle on, and we put them into education, and that's just a fast track way of getting our horses to shut down. So the other side of the spectrum that we've got to think of is, for a shutdown horse, is how they deal under pressure. Now that's a fairly, because I have heard that shutdown horses, that if you put them under more pressure, they shut down more. There's sort of truth in that, in the sense that if a person walks in, the horse shuts down, but the person could be standing here like this, with the horse, and the horse is shut down. But you imagine if a big tiger just made its way past here, then so the horses are only shut down because of us. They're not shut down in the paddock, and they're not shut down if a big tiger walked past. So it's not pressure that makes the horse shut down, it's the pressure from us and our dealing around us and our pressures that have made the horse shut down. And that's what I like to sort of, bring out, when I'm trying to talk to people at clinics. And an amazing thing at the last clinic, well, it was kind of amazing for the people to watch, is we kind of got a really shut down horse that had just been grinded, and it couldn't even think forward, but yet it could do team panning and stuff like that. But it was so broken down in its body from being ridden stiff and shut down that, it's kind of sad to see how that horse felt around people. But what we did is we exposed the horse just to a little bit of awareness, which means that we put it out on its own and said, hey, something scary is happening, and it went, whoa, gee, I'm on my own. And suddenly you saw it go from hard-eyed to going, oh, hang on, I feel a little bit unsafe. Once that horse felt a little unsafe, I got the owner to approach it, and then he saw the true horse. So as he approached that horse, the horse from a distance said, oh, you're coming. Oh, I might hide in the fence. Oh, and you can see the whole conversation between him and the horse, the one that horse wasn't having with him. So while that horse was open, the truth was that horse was really worried about that person from say, I'd say it would have been about 30 metres away. When he got to about 30 metres, that horse really started to get anxious. So it told him that's how the horse felt, but when it was shut down, it just would shut down as he walked up to it, and sometimes give him some angry looks. But what started happening is the horse started to get angry and starting to bite when he was rugging it and stuff like that. And so after so many years of being shut down, he was a softer owner, I suppose, and more aware of trying to make the horse feel better. So what happened is the horse said, well, I'm not so intimidated by you, and then all that bad feeling that was still in there started to come out and show signs of, that's where it was showing signs of aggression. So it's important that we have an expressive horse right from the start that we constantly communicate with, because otherwise we end up with a horse that's possibly could be very explosive and dangerous, because it's just, there's this concrete shell inside it. There was all these mixed emotions that had really troubled. So it's best off, everyone says, I feel great once I've got that weight off my shoulders. Well, those horses that are shut down, they're just carrying a huge weight over their shoulders all the time that they can't, get off their shoulders. So it's really important that you keep them open and expressive, and that's why I just thought I'd show you Marvel, because he's just standing here and going through all the cycles of a natural horse, constantly thinking, sometimes resting, sleeping a little bit, thinking about there, everything's quite normal with him. so I'm not concerned.